Good morning, students. Now we are going to discuss on the topic compiler writing tools. So this particular topic is from Unit 1 of your Principles of Compiler Design subject. So this particular topic, which seems to be an very important one, the reason is writing and compiler seems to be an very toughest one. So writing a code using any high level language or any procedure oriented language or any object oriented programming language seems to be very easy because you people know as how to learn the language and how to implement the concepts of this language and how to code. So all those things you will have some ideas and you will have some structures and syntaxes and the rules that to be followed, and then you have some various example codes, and using those things it would be possible for your students to construct a program for an application for any process or for any problem that you want. But at the same time, to construct a compiler seems to be a very toughest one. For example, to construct and compiler for Fortran language, it takes some 13 years of time to construct a compiler. So you people must know. So how toughest thing to construct a compiler. And then in compiler we have some various components and various parts that to be separated and get processed and to get some insight on as what are the various things that we have over there in compiler processing. So that seems to be an important one. So that's why we are discussing on this compiler writing tools. So as we already know, we have some various phases in compiler. So each and every phases could act like an components of compiler. For example, in structure of compiler, the first phase, which is going to be in lexical analysis phase, which seems to be a separate component as lexical analyzer, and second phase, syntactic analysis phase, which seems to be a separate component for your syntax analyzer, where the lexical analyzer we used to call it as a scanner, where and then the syntactic analyzer we used to call it as an parser. So for scanning process and parsing process, normally we used to use those things. Other than those things, we have some n number of tools that to be used to construct compilers. So we are going to discuss about those things in this particular topic. So in this introduction part, so the compiler writer or any software developer um, use some tools such as language editors. So you have some editors. So using those editors, people would be able to code something or create some programs. And debuggers, it's very important. Debuggers is nothing but using these tools we would be able to find out the errors in the programs whatever that you're going to code. So the debuggers are very important. And version managers, so it depends upon the integrated development environment that you're going to use, and then using the various versions of editors, we must able to manage some various version formats, and then various version categories, and then their complexities. So that could be solved using this version managers. And then profilers, it used to create some a complete informations and descriptive structure to your program, that is profilers and test harnesses. So these are some various tools that we have related to compiler uh, writer. More than these things, we have some various other specialized tools. So these tools which use some specialized languages for specifying and implementing some specific components of your compiler. So these things used to use some sophisticated algorithms, and based on those algorithms, these compiler writing tools which used to work. And then we have some various successful tools which used to hide the details of the algorithm, but it used to work like an component, whatever that it have to process. So we have some various tools. Using those tools we would be able to process the thing in the phases of compilers. Next, these are the various tools that we have. The first tool, which is going to be an parser generator. So parser generator is nothing but your syntax analyzer, which automatically produce syntax analyzer for a grammatical description of a programming language. So it used to take some grammar as an input, and using those grammar we used to generate and which used to develop a syntax analyzer. And then the next one, which is about scanner generator, which used to produce lexical analyzer. So the scanning process is nothing but lexical analysis process. So which used to produce lexical analyzer. So from a regular expression description of the tokens of a language, which used to feels like an input for your scanner generator, and which used to develop some scan generator out of those regular expressions. So that's going to be the second tool. And third tool, which is about syntax director translation engines. So this is very important one, because based on the syntaxes, we used to perform some translation process, either for boolean statements or control statements, and using some attribute codes, we used to develop the syntactic structure of the code, and based on that we used to perform some translation process over there to get some proper definition and proper solution for the problem that we have in statements like boolean and control statements. So for that we used to use syntax directed translation engines. So you have some set of routines. So using those routines, we used to work on the pasties and generate some intermediate codes. And then the next one is about code generator, which used to produce some proper code that could execute in any system or any environment that you people want. um, so that's about code generator. And then the fifth tool, which is about data flow analysis engines. So whatever the project or process or program that you're going to do, you must know what is the entire flow of the system. So starting from including the header files and completing the code with getch. So whatever the intermediate thing that you have in a program, all those things you must draft some a proper flow chart, some flow like diagrammatic representations. So that will be get processed by this data flow analysis engine as a important part of code automation process. And then you have some compiler construction toolkits. So using this compiler construction toolkits, which is to provide some routines. So using those routines you will be able to construct some automatic um, generators, automatic code generators, or automatic parser generator, automatic scanner generators. And then using those things, we would be able to uh, separate the process of phases of compiler and used to process. So these are the various tools that we have related to compiler writing. So being a student, you people have to concentrate on what are the various compiler writing tools that we have, and then how to use those tools, and then how to differentiate a normal tool to an automatic tool. So we have some two types of tools here, as normal tool and automatic tool. Normal tool in the sense we used to works like a prototype, where automatic tool which used to automatically take some input and process, and which used to produce some output. So you must know what are the various tools that we have related to compiler writing, and what are the various processes that we have related to uh, compilers and structure of compilers. So students, kindly concentrate much on these topics. So thank you for listening. So with this, I'm stopping this presentation. Thank you.